Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session of the Untitled Sino Group Presidential Distinguished Lecture Series. 各位下午好，欢迎来到我们的黄廷芳信和大师讲堂。Chinese family businesses often face a challenge of sustaining wealth beyond 3 generations. The concept of a family office has emerged as a forward-thinking and a sustainable solution, attracting increased attentions. 传统华人家庭面对富不过3代的挑战，家族办公室则被视为前瞻性且可持续的解决方案。那本次的讲座将深入探讨家族企业的传承挑战以及家族办公室的未来发展。Today, we are honored to have Professor Roger King with us. He is a distinguished expert who will share his profound insights on the evolution of family businesses to business families and ultimately to family offices for long-term sustainability. Professor King is a famous family business scholar. He is a strong advocate for applied research, particularly in family businesses, family offices, entrepreneurship, as well as corporate and family governance. His ability to integrate business insights with academia makes him an invaluable voice in this field. 金乐琦教授是香港财富传承学院董事会成员，也是香港科技大学金融学系兼教授。金乐琦家族企业及家族办公室研究中心创始主任及资深顾问，康信商业案例研究中心创始主任及资深顾问。我们今天非常荣幸能邀请到金乐琦教授，就家族办公室，以及家族商业这一块为各位带来真知灼见。请各位注意，今天的演讲金教授将使用英文 ，PPT 的材料是中英文的。First, may we please invite Interim President Zhang Zheng to give the welcome speech.
Distinguished guests, faculty members, and students, it is great pleasure to welcome you to Untitled Sino Group Presidential Distinguished Lecture Series today. And it is my great honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Professor Roger King, who has made a remarkable contributions to the field of family business. I have had a privilege to collaborate with Professor King since 2021, and I can attest to his profound expertise and insight that you will all benefit from today. His impressive academic credentials include degrees from the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, New York University, and a PhD in finance from Hong Kong UST, along with advanced management study at Harvard Business School. Professor King served as a senior advisor and founding director of both the Roger King Center of Asian Family Business and Family Office and the Thomason Center for Business Case Studies at Hong Kong UST, where he is also an adjunct professor of finance. With his extensive business experience as a former chief operating officer of the Orient Overseas Holding, chairman of Pacific Coffee, and numerous other leadership roles in prominent organizations, Professor King brings unique insight to today's topic, from family business to business family to family office. Please join me to give a warm welcome to Professor Roger King again. Thank you.
Well, thank you, President Zhang. Please remain on stage. Now let's invite Professor King on the stage to receive a certificate of appreciation from Interim President Zhang. Thank you, President Zhang. Please be seated. Now, shall we give a warm round of applause to Professor King to begin the lecture? 让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎金教授开始他的演讲。谢谢。
No, it's okay. It's okay. But where's the? Okay. No, I want to go to the first one. Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll just. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, I will be doing my presentation in English. I am Chinese, but I was actually born in the United States, so my Chinese is not very good. I've been in Hong Kong actually since 1975, and my Cantonese is also not very good, okay? And my family's originally from Shanghai, so anybody can speak Shanghai dialect. I can speak a little bit of Shanghai dialect also, okay? So today I'm going to talk about the subject itself is from family business to business family to family office itself. Okay, just out of curiosity, how many people in this room are with family businesses? Just a few, not that many. Okay, but I think I will show you that actually you may not be involved in a family business today, but I can assure you that sometime in your life you're going to come across being a family business, working or providing service to a family business itself, okay? Or family business owners itself. So let me move on. Okay, so we're living in a fast changing world today itself, as you all know, okay? Human life cycle is getting longer and longer, right? Look at me, right? I'm getting longer. No, I mean, life is longer, not height-wise, okay? So, in fact, it's kind of interesting. Most of you in this room, I would suggest that you will definitely live beyond 80 years old because the average life expectancy here in Hong Kong is actually 84 years old. It's the highest in the world. So many of you probably have relatives that are already over 100 years old. Okay? Yeah. So it's really nothing. In fact, my father's younger sister, she passed away 103 years old, and my mother passed away at 99. And, and I have a grandson. He was born in 1999, and I told him with a bit of luck, he is going to live 3 centuries, right? 20th century, 21st century, and 22nd century. So life expectancy is getting longer and longer. But the problem is that business life cycle is getting shorter and shorter, right? You can see that, especially we're very, very familiar with the concept of artificial intelligence, right? And Industrial Revolution 4.0. So everything's getting shorter and shorter. So, the problem with the life cycle of a business changing all the time, how do you make sure that you can continue on? Because usually family businesses, they stay in the same kind of business for a very, very long time. And especially the founder, they don't know how to change their new business model itself. So these are 2 very, very important concepts itself. Life expectancy longer, but business life cycle is getting very, very short, okay? Here are some of the, some of you in this room are not Chinese necessarily, but I'm going to base this talk primarily on Chinese family business itself, okay? But actually it's also applicable to East Asians and so forth and so on, okay? And so one of the things about Chinese family businesses that, most of them that they don't trust outsiders. They only want family business people to work within the family itself. Why? Why is that? Okay. Part of the reason is that, if you hire somebody that's very, very smart and he learns everything from you, he may become your competitor. He goes outside because one of the things is that a lot of Chinese family businesses, they don't really build up a brand name. They just, it's all social relationship, based on social relationship. And if someone works for you, he knows who your contacts are and everything else. He can actually go out and actually become your competitor itself. So this is one of the things. The other thing is that the founder of family businesses, they tend not wanting to let go. They always hold on to everything. They want to control everything. Okay, and some of you may be experiencing some of that, or some of you, I saw some people said they're with a family, maybe it's your father or grandfather, they just don't let go. Okay, so this is another thing. The other thing is that succession. This part of the world, the succession plan is very, very sort of traditional. The firstborn son takes over the business, okay? I see a lot of young ladies in this room, so it's usually the firstborn son. And guess what? Firstborn son, part of the problem is that most firstborn son, and we were talking about this earlier, many of you are entrepreneurs, right? But the firstborn son tend to be, the parents spend a lot of time with the firstborn. They look after them, everything, but they tend to be a little bit overbearing. Why did you do it this way? Why did you do this way? They always, so the firstborn is usually risk averse, very risk averse. And globally, the successful entrepreneurs, people like the Steve Jobs of this world, Bill Gates, they're not firstborn, okay? And you probably come across any of these very, very successful people tend not to be the firstborn. Most successful entrepreneurs are not firstborn, okay? So this is one of the things. So if you are passing the business on to the firstborn and the firstborn is not entrepreneurial, what's the problem, right? And especially in this kind of world, you have to change lifestyle all the time itself. So this is one of the major problems itself, okay? So, and as I said earlier, we are living in today, the world's changing, and we are now living in what we call the Asian century, right? The Asian century is very, very interesting in a sense that, did you know there are more U.S. billionaires in China than in the United States? This is the way things are, okay? So, but the thing is that in United States, in China, most of the, it's first generation, now second generation. It's not very, very long because, China's gone through a lot of issues, with the Cultural Revolution, everything else. So it used to be all state-owned enterprises. Now, actually, most of the successful firms in China today are actually family-owned, family entrepreneurial starts, okay? The other thing is that next generation, people like yourselves, are much, much better educated, okay? And I come across many, many entrepreneurs that started family businesses, and most of them never even finished secondary school. Never mind going to university. They don't even finish secondary school. They start their ventures and so forth and so on. So, but nowadays, the next generation, they send their children overseas to study, whether it's Hong Kong, UK, Australia, United States, and so forth. And they're much better educated. But the biggest problem is that, most of them do not want to come back to work for the family. Okay? And actually, several years back, there was a study done in Shanghai Jiao Tong University. It turned out that returnees, 80+% do not want to join the family business itself. 80+, okay? And you got the owner and the creator of the business doesn't want to let go, only doesn't trust outsiders, and the returnees, they don't want to. They're supposed to be passing it on to the next generation, But the next generation don't want to join the family business. To them, it's very, very boring, okay? They're more interested in high-tech things and so forth and so on. Usually in a large crowd with a lot of Westerners, I said they all want to be horses. What do you mean they want to be horses? They want to be a Jack Ma or a Pony Ma, okay? So that's why they want to be a horse, okay? So this is a thing. Okay, but there are some, because, our traditions you have to listen to or, to the parents. So some of them do join the family business, okay? The question is that, do they really want to join? They're only joining because it's an obligation. This is the family tradition, everything else. So I developed this concept, what I call is CCKP. Okay, what do I mean by CCKP? The first C is commitment. Are they committed? Those that come back, they may say, yes, I'll work for you, Dad. I'll work whatever, Are they truly committed? The second C is confidence. Do they have confidence in what they're doing? Okay. K is knowledge. Do they know what they're doing? Right? And P is one of the most important. Do they have a passion? And if they miss any one of these elements, the chance of success, I would say, 0. Actually, it doesn't matter whether it's family business or not. Whatever business, whatever you want to do, you can be an artist, you want to be whatever. If you don't have CCKP in whatever you're doing, let's say you want to be a musician. You don't have confidence of yourself, you think you're going to be successful? If you don't have passion, you're going to be successful? I bet you won't. Okay, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay, so remember that. Today, after you leave my lecture, there are 2 things you need to remember. This is one of the things, CCKP. Okay, so anyway, this is what happens today. People join the family business simply because it's part of the tradition. They're obliged to join the family business. They're joined, but they may not have any, particularly the last one. They don't really have a passion for it. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, future. As I've said, the business cycle is getting shorter and shorter, right? And so, when you have business cycle getting shorter and shorter, and the next generation doesn't want to join the family business, or the family business that you're in is no longer applicable, displaced by, let's say, AI, then what happens, right? So we developed this concept, what we call from family business to business family. Why do I call that? Actually, if the next generation's interested, and if they're entrepreneurial, they want to start something new venture, why not consider giving them some opportunity, giving them some funds to let them start their own venture, okay? So this is something. Or what you might consider is that, why not buy somebody else's business? Another family that's interested, their next generation is not interested, but you may like their business, or you can buy it, or your offspring might buy the family of someone else's business. So what you end up is a portfolio of businesses, and you might even sell your own business itself. So the world's changing itself. That's why I call a business family. You have a portfolio of different kinds of businesses, okay? So you can think about that itself, all right? So the other thing is that, a lot of people are now also selling their own business itself. Selling a family business is not easy for a number of different reasons. First of all, there's a lot of emotional attachment if the founder is still there. They don't want to let go, right? What do you mean sell my business, to the next generation? So this is one of the problems itself. The other is that, why would anyone want to buy your business? Because you're the only person controlling it. If I buy it, you don't stay with the company. Why should I buy your business, right? So if you really want to sell your business, you have to prepare for it. And you have to there's a lot of preparational work one has to do. It's not easy, okay? Emotional. The other big problem is that the concept of micromanaging. The founder of the business usually micromanages the business, and it's very, very difficult for someone else to take over the business itself. Jay mentioned earlier, I was a chairman of a company called Pacific Coffee, right? Anybody heard of a Pacific Coffee? Yeah. Actually, I was what we call an early investor, okay? I was an angel investor. And the founder of the business is a fellow from America. He came, guess where he's from? He was from Seattle, okay? You know any other coffee business from Seattle? Starbucks, right? Yeah. Actually, he started the coffee business here in Hong Kong before Starbucks. Then he managed to create a chain of about 5 outlets. Then he said, oh, I've run out of money. I need more money. That's when we joined and invested in his company. So this is what we call angel investors, okay? Early stage investors and so forth, okay? So I put some money in. And the other thing he needed help with, he in retail business, how many people in this room are in retail business? Location, location, location is very, very important, right? So to get good locations in Hong Kong or anywhere else in the world, it's all relationship driven, right? By the way, this part of the world, relationship is very, very important itself, okay? What we call social capital itself is very, very important itself. So anyway, I helped put some money in. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I don't have time to go into details of that. I actually, my investment at that time, he's already started about 4 or 5 years, and my investment was only $75,000 US, okay? And he grew the company to very, very nicely and so forth. But we as investors, we want our money back sometime, right? And so, and he didn't have any kids old enough to take over the business itself. So we had to convince him to sell the business. That was not easy, okay? Especially for someone that's micromanaging it. But anyway, we did manage to convince him, the investors and so forth. And so about 10 years into the thing, we actually sold the business itself. Not easy. He was a micromanager. In fact, one time I was elected the chairman. I don't know why. Maybe because I have more gray hair. Okay. So I was the chairman. Then he came to me, he said, Roger, we should roast our own beans. I said, what do you mean roast our own beans? Who's going to roast the beans? Are you going to do it? That's the way he is. So to talk him out of selling the business, it's not that easy. Okay. So we managed to do it. And because we have many so-called angel investors, most of the angel investors are people that are involved in private equity firms. So they know this kind of thing. So we managed to convince him. We ultimately sold the business itself, okay? And so again, selling it, I was very, very lucky. A friend of mine, his son was very, very interested in the business itself because he had a passion for it. He actually studied engineering in UK and this and that and so forth, but he wanted to be in food and beverage business. So this friend of mine, one time he invited me for breakfast, and after we were having breakfast, I said, hey, Roger, would you like a cup of coffee? And I said, yes, I'd like a cup of coffee. So actually, he was doing his what we call due diligence. He was trying to find out more indirectly what the coffee business is all about, okay? And we were talking, and finally, he actually bought the business itself. And it was really, really good. He used another company, a listed company, he used it and buy it. And but this group, you don't have enough information, I can't, but I can honestly tell you, it was kind of interesting. My $75,000, 10 years later, you know how much it became? 10,000? How much? 1 million? 1 million. Wow. That's fantastic. By the way, as a chairman, I never got a free cup of coffee. Okay, I had to pay. My $75,000 became $8 million US. Good investment, right? So think about that next time. By the way, I'm not the firstborn in my family also. Okay, so anyway, so, you know, setting up businesses, selling it, you know, having a portfolio of businesses, that's something one should consider, okay? So this is some of the things. So this is the future. You have to let go and willing to bring in professional people to help you out, okay? So anyway, this is a very, very common concept itself, especially for Chinese people in this room. You know, the notion that wealth doesn't go beyond 3 generations, right? The first generation create the wealth, second, you know, sort of manage it, and the third enjoys the wealth or squanders it, right? So this is a very, very famous, by the way, you know, on a global basis, there are lots and lots of family businesses that are way over 100, 200 years old. Guess what national or ethnic group has a longer surviving family businesses? Sorry? Jewish? Jewish people are very, very smart, by the way. We actually do comparative study on overseas Chinese family businesses to Jewish family business, diaspora, and the other group is Indian diaspora, very, very smart people, okay, business-wise, okay? The Jewish people, by the way, globally, there are less than 25 million Jewish people. But because the way they are and they move around, they're too successful, their businesses don't survive that long, unfortunately. The ones that survive very, very long are the Japanese, okay? The Japanese family business survive very, very long. And the Japanese family business, part of the reasons they survive very long is that they pass it on to the firstborn son, but everybody else gets nothing. Only the firstborn son. So there's no family fights, okay? This is very, very important. You know, a lot of the problems family businesses, you know, you pass it on to several generations, especially the son, you give some to several sons get it, then they fight over each other. In fact, one of the, if anybody's really interested in one book I can recommend is written by a friend of mine. The title of the book is called Destructive Power of Family Wealth, okay? So those that don't have wealth, they don't have this kind of problem itself, all right? So Japanese also very, very interesting. They pass it on firstborn son, and if they don't have a son, then what happens? Oh, the son-in-law can take over. But the son-in-law has to change the surname. So to the outside world, it looks like the same family going down. And what if you don't have any children? You can bring somebody into the family, but they have to change their name. But most of the long surviving family, Japanese family firms are very small firms, not these large ones, not the Toyotas and the Hondas and everything else. It's very, very small. So it's a very, it could be just a inn, the small hotel type of thing, or restaurant type of thing, okay? So this is something that, okay? So the notion of wealth doesn't go beyond 3 generations. It's not just Chinese, actually. The Westerners also have a concept, what they call shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve in 3 generations. So it's not just Chinese itself, okay? All right, so, I've been doing this thing for the family business involvement for quite a number of years now, okay? If I tell you how many years, I'll be giving away my age, okay? So the question is that I talk to a lot of the key, what I call founders of family wealth itself. And you ask them, what's really important, okay? What's really important? And this is I summarize it in what I call 3 Ps. The first is preservation of family wealth. That's very important. And wealth in this part of the world is not just financial wealth. It's actually social wealth as well. How do you preserve your family's social wealth? Okay, this is very, very important. The second is, how do you preserve family harmony? Right? Not easy. Okay, we already said, people are fighting against each other over money. And so we're actually doing a case study in Hong Kong. Well, we've done many, many case studies, but recently we interviewed a young lady, 3rd generation, from the family of Yongki, the goose family itself. 2nd generation, they're already fighting. Now she is trying to resurrect the family and everything else. So quite interesting and very complicated in a way. The 3rd P is preservation of family value and family legacy. And I'll go into that a little bit later on itself, okay? So these are the 3 Ps. If you talk to anyone, this is what, you notice it doesn't say preservation of family business, right? Wealth could be anything, right? So this is, so we call this a 3 Ps, and which is, to me, those are the important things. How do you preserve that? And that can go on forever and ever, hopefully, okay? All right, so what keeps the family together today? Traditionally, the family business is the glue that keeps the family together. What if you do a family business no longer exists, or you sold it, or whatever, okay? And, when I do other lecture, I think Jay mentioned I was on a board of another company called Orient Overseas Container Line. It was a part of a family business. Selling it, then, you sell it. It's there are 2 happy days in the life of an entrepreneur. I understand many people in this room are entrepreneurial, right? The first happy day is when you start the business, and the second is when you sell the business. You should be very, very happy when you sell the business. And once you sell it, don't look back, okay? Never look back. I should have waited, this and that, and so on. Start a new business, okay? This is very, very important. So, okay? So what I'm saying is that what we should be really doing is that the 3 Ps are so important. Why don't we create something that actually can maintain that 3P concept itself, okay? So today, my talk, we already talked about CCKP and the 3 Ps. So when you leave today, remember those 2 things, okay? So all these things, if you think about it, okay, the 3 Ps, and what people are now doing is that using the concept, what I like to do is use the concept of family office itself, okay? But a lot of people think of family office as only asset management. When I teach a class, and also in my own family, we do 3 Ps and more than just the asset aspect. So the idea is how to keep the family together is use the family office concept to keep it together. Okay, that's why it's from family business to business family to family office itself. Okay, so let me just move on a little bit. Okay, so what is a family office? Some of you may already know what this is. Okay, but in reality, family offices tends to be just doing things for the family, right? And actually, Hong Kong has a lot of family offices. Some of them are what we call embedded family offices. They're not formalized, okay? And, but some are formalized. And now the Hong Kong government is trying to bring in more and more family, what we call high net worth families or individuals to start their family office here because it's beneficial for Hong Kong. And so for those of you, as I mentioned earlier, you're not involved in family business, you might be providing service to family offices in the future, or work for a family within their family office itself. So these are some of the things we can talk about a little bit later on. So, but, every family office is actually very, very different itself. When you see somebody, you talk to, they have a family office and you have family, you start talking about details, it's very, very different. Each one is different. So what we have is that when you've seen one family office, you've just seen one because they're all different itself, okay? So anyway, the idea is that why not use the family office concept to preserve the 3 Ps and to keep the family together. The important thing is to keep the family together. That's why we're seeing more and more people, and the younger generations, they don't really have to be in business. They can be involved with charitable foundations, for the family, on behalf of the family. They can do all kinds of other things for the benefit of the family itself. So this is why, here's some samples, okay? Investment, okay, that's wealth preservation, all right? Family trust. People may or may not have full exposure to family trust. That keeps family harmony together, okay? So these are examples of these things, and, feel free to ask me any questions you want on that. Oversee family governance. You may or may not be familiar with the terminology. Governance is how some families have rules, okay? By the way, Asians and Westerners are very, very different in that sense. We Asians, and I call myself we Asians, okay? We tend to do things on a collective basis. Westerners tend to do things on an individualistic basis, okay? And so let me just give you an example of what I mean by individualism and collectivism, okay? For us, when we go to a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, or, we order food and put it on a table, right? And everybody, you eat what you want or you don't. But you go to a Western restaurant, what do? You order individually, right? That's individualism. That's the difference. Now, how about a Chinese going to a Michelin restaurant in Paris? They order individually, but once the food comes, they put it on a table, everybody's sharing the food, right? You try mine. That's the way we do things, okay? Right? Yeah. How about Ukraine? Same. Yeah. You see? So when we set up a family office, if you follow the Western style, it may not suit you very, very well. You got to introduce your own culture into the thing, okay? So this is the thing. So remember, culturally, we're different, okay? And there's nothing wrong with being different. It's just understanding each other and so forth. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, okay? So anyway, we're informal. We tend to be much more informal and everything else. And this is very, very important. Informality for us is much more important than formality, okay, structurally. So this is why you talk about family governance. Some families actually have, it's almost like a Bible. They have everything all written down. You can do this, you cannot do that. I don't really think that's necessarily useful, okay? All right. Organizing social events, retreats, okay? Some families, and I'll show you my family, we get together every year, okay? Not only every year, once a year, we very frequently. And in my own family, every Sunday we have our Sunday lunches together, okay? For those that are in town, okay? Now my grandchildren, they're all overseas studying and everything else, but my children, they come and everything. So social events, okay. The other is extended family offices. I won't spend too much time on that. Is that there's a concept called single family office. In other words, you set up a family office for your entire clan, the same family members itself. Then there's a concept called multi-family office. Actually, you can have your family office, and we can do things together, okay? But there's also what I call extended family office, where you do things, especially the financial side. You split it all up, but you do certain things together. Sometimes keeping all the money or financial things in one family, under one roof is not necessarily, that's where the arguments come about, okay? So this is, okay. All right, now I'm going to show you some examples. It's talk about family preservation, family harmony, and family unity, right? That's the third P itself. And I'm going to use my own family to show you this, okay? All right. This is a photo taken in 1986. Long time ago, right? And this is the generation below me. There are 13 of them, okay? This is on my wife's side of the family itself. So we go to this beach, and they climb on top of each other, and they make a pyramid. And we still do that every year, same beach, doing the same thing, okay? Now they cannot climb on each other. They're too, right? So this is, they just stand like a pyramid, but this is the same beach. Now, this is the generation. This is the fourth generation. They continue this process. So we continue to do this. Look at this. They climb on top of each other. Not that the pyramid is important. It's the thing that we do this every single year on the same day. This is Christmas Day. Everybody comes back to Hong Kong. And this is on Llama Island, by the way. Then after this thing, they play American football, touch football on the beach. Then we all go to the same restaurant, okay? And we've been doing this for, wow, 30, 40 years now. Yeah, okay? You can see that it continues that. This is very, very important. You find something that everybody is willing to do and enjoy it. This generation nowadays, we're into the fifth generation. You know, we don't have sixth generation yet, okay? But they all have these, you know, their own common websites, this and that, and so forth. We're a large family, so, oh, I'm visiting Paris. Can I use your Paris apartment? You know, things like that, you know. Or I'm going to Phuket. You have a villa in Phuket. Let me stay in your villa. You know, it's always no problem. Okay, this is how things are. Okay, this is how big the family is now. And guess where this is? Disneyland. So Disneyland's been open, what, about 15, 20 years now. We've been there since day one of Disneyland. And we always, as a family, we all go to that same staircase and we take a big, big photo. And we spent 3 days in Disneyland. By the way, Disneyland Hong Kong is really very nice for grandparents. Why? It's very small. We don't have to walk so much, you know. This is very, very important itself. So you can see that that's me over here. Anyway, yeah. So you can see that, you know. So we do this every year. Not everyone that can come out, but you know, we just do that and enjoy it, right? And so that's the way things are. Now we talk about family value and family legacy. Okay, the other was harmony, getting together, and so forth and so on. Okay, this is a picture of my grandparents. One is my maternal grandfather, and one's my paternal grandfather. Okay, by the way, they're all bankers, Bank of China. He was my paternal grandfather. He was the first president of Bank of China for Zhejiang province because he's originally from Hangzhou. You know, so my family, the roots are from Hangzhou, and my maternal grandfather is from Yuyao, which is now part of Ningbo. Okay, and my parents actually, their marriage was arranged marriage. Okay, so that's the way things are in those days. My father didn't want to marry my mother, but my grandfather said, no, you have to. You have no choice. Why they had to get married? Because politically in the bank, there were problems now. This way they can, you know, politically it's important. So he told my father he has to get married with my mother. But he said, you can have another wife if you want to. So this is the way the life is in those days. So these are my grandparents, and guess what? We write books on it. So, you know, for example, this is my, you know, and the one on this side, actually I commissioned someone from the Zhejiang University to write the book for us itself, okay? So, and these books, they're not, we didn't do these books for selling purposes. We do this for next generation so they have some understanding of the family history, which is very, very important. Okay, we value family history itself. Okay, this is my father-in-law. Okay, he was a shipping man. You may or may not know him. Okay, but you may know his son. This is my wife's father. Okay, his firstborn son is Tochi Hua. Okay, the first chief executive of Hong Kong since the reunion itself. These books are written and organized by my wife for the father itself, okay? So again, it's so important itself. Well, today I also, recently, myself and my siblings, we put a book together on my mother. Everybody writes books on fathers, right? Nobody writes books on mothers. In my family, it's all because of my mother we are where we are today. You know, she grew up, the only thing, of her era, the only thing they do is they didn't learn how to do anything other than playing mahjong and sewing, right? That's their life itself, okay? But we, as I said, I was born in the United States. My father went to the United States for his, what I call gold plating. He just went to get a degree, then go back so he can say he has a master's degree from the United States, right? And he studied political science because it was an easy degree to get. Then later on, we went back to the United States, China, then back to the United States. He couldn't even find a job. Nobody hired Chinese with a political science degree, okay? So he had to work in a restaurant. And my summer job was washing dishes in a restaurant. That's how it is. But my mother, she's the one that kept the family together because my father is a big smoker. He loves smoking, drinking, and everything else, okay? That's his lifestyle. And by the way, he only lived to 57. But my mother's the one that, education, education, education. So our family value is all because of her. Okay? And we are what we are today, Thank you. And more importantly, for example, Jane mentioned I did go back to school and get my PhD. My brother has a PhD. My sister didn't get her PhD, but she married a PhD, okay? so yeah, and that's the way things are, And my children, I have 3 children. They're all Ivy League graduates, okay? And my grandchildren, they're basically all Ivy League graduates as well. It goes on and on and on, and all because of her. So we just finished this book about 2 months ago, okay? So anyway, yeah. And I'm not selling this book, If anyone's really, really interested, okay, see Jane, I'll give her a few copies, okay. So the whole idea is what keeps a family together, the value system itself. That's why it's so important itself, okay? Okay, this is another interesting thing. This is Shanghai Jiao Tong University. They had this building, they were gonna tear it down. And my wife said, no, don't tear it down. She wanted, and she converted this into a museum, a maritime museum, in honor of her father itself, okay? By the way, her father, was a very successful ship owner, but he never even went to university. He just, that's the way, he never had a chance to go to university. He had to work, okay? This is interesting. This is actually in Hangzhou, Shaoshan. For those of you who may or may not know, this is a memorial hall of my grandfather, my paternal grandfather itself. So we, you can see, and it's kind of interesting. It's it's a building that's a replica of the building that he was born in. And so I was very, very much involved with the government to put it all together and so forth and so on. But you see the group of children there, you know, it was kind of interesting. These, I've been, because I did the comparative study between ethnic Chinese and Jewish diaspora family businesses, I was invited to give a talk at the Tel Aviv University. And when I went there, they said, oh, you know, they invited me to join the board of governors. So I'm on the board of governors of Tel Aviv University for quite a number of years, okay? And when I was there, you know, the Chinese and Jewish people, by the way, have a lot in common, okay? Especially Chinese from Shanghai area, okay? So, in Tel Aviv University, they have this program for high school kids, summer, to study STEM. Science, technology, engineering, math. So I asked them, can I bring some kids over from China? I said, yes, yes. We have to work out the language problem, okay? I said, no, we'll select people from that have a little bit of English speaking capability, and we'll also bring translators, okay? So every year, nearly 10 years now, I've been sponsoring 15 children from Shaosan Middle School to do a program, summer program in Tel Aviv. Okay. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but you know, nowadays, given the current situation there, I had to stop it for a while. But again, this is done in the name of my grandfather. Why? Where are these children selected from? They're selected from the high school that my grandfather donated money to, okay? So it's in honor of him, and that's why they're taking photos there, okay? Okay, this is also interesting. After a few successful years of this, I said there's something wrong with this program. We should have the Jewish people come to Asia as well. So the program actually has 3 weeks, 1 week in Tel Aviv, 1 week in the Greater Bay Area here, and 1 week in Shanghai, Hangzhou, and you know, so they're visiting Alibaba itself, okay? So I want the people of that age group to understand each other, you know, culturally and everything else. I still remember my high school schoolmates, you know, once you form friendship of that basis, and this is what we really need globally, you know, have good relationship, starting very, very early. So this is a group of Israeli kids as well as Chinese kids that I sponsored, okay? So this is, but sadly, I had to stop the program first because of the COVID, and now with the, you know, the Gaza situation, I hope soon I can resurrect the program itself. Okay, so this is just my concluding remarks itself, okay? So 3 stages, I was talking a little bit about the past and the present and the future itself, okay? So for everybody, remember CCKP and 3 Ps, okay? And so I think I'll stop here and I'll be happy to answer any questions, okay? All right, thank you very much. Oh, okay. Sit here. All right.
Well, thank you, Professor King, for your thought-provoking insights from the challenges of family business succession to the innovative strategies for the sustainable growth. You use your personal experience and stories to show us the true thing, and then it's really enlightening. And now we are now moving into the Q&A session, and this is a great opportunity for all of you guys to ask any questions you may have. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. And I have a question. Establishing a true family office is not easy. Looks like it involves complex areas like taxation and legal matters and many other issues like family governance and trust planning. And are there any specialized institutions in this area that can help us to do the consulting and guidance? And they help to the family to set up this family office? Thank you.
Definitely. But as I said, they're what I call embedded family offices. A lot of them are not that formalized. But now the Hong Kong government is very, very interested to try to attract more and more high net families to come here. And there are legal firms that specialize in this kind of concept, bring everything together. I'm not sure I necessarily recommend too much formality. You can do a lot of things. Like in our family, we have family offices. My two sons, they happen to be very much involved with financial issues, and so they manage assets. And my daughter is very much interested in art, and we're art, collector. So you can have it formalized, and the formal thing is that there are many, many professional firms out there that are willing to provide that service, the legal side, as well as the financial side as well. So definitely, okay? And happy to, introduce you to some of these people. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your extremely valuable insight in this field. My question is about the family office. You mentioned about the family office that could be run by the professional, not family managers. But does it mean that you delegate some kind of control over the business? And if yes, how can you mitigate the risk of moral hazard in this sense, please?
Well, this is a very, very good, interesting question, what you raised, because again, coming back to Asian families, they want to have the last say. Family members will have the last say. Every family has what we call a family patriarch or matriarch. And that's the one that is the one that controls virtually everything. So if you work as a non-family member working in a family, it's not that easy. Jane didn't introduce me through one company I actually worked for as a non-family member, a company called Sasa Cosmetics. Actually, I was on the board of Sasa Cosmetics, and I was doing so many different things as a board member. They finally asked me to join them, and I didn't really want to join them, okay? But I liked the couple that found the business itself, so I said I'll work for you for a limited period of time. But I have to tell you, it's the first time I ever worked in a family business as a non-family member. You can have all kinds of discussions during the day. They go home, come back the next day, it's all different. And I said, it's very, very frustrating, especially for me. I would say a born entrepreneur. If you're a born entrepreneur trying to work for a family, it's very, very challenging. The other thing I would recommend is if you work for a family, families do have arguments. Don't take sides. Stay neutral all the time, okay? But families also have to recognize if you reach a certain stage, you do need professional people to help you. And you have to let certain things go. If you don't, nobody wants to work for you, okay? This is the thing.
Okay, dear Professor, I ask a question. I operate MC, especially for most family to be more healthier and happier. And I ask a question. You mentioned your mom is very foundation of your whole family, and she strengthened that the education is very important. But I think in the modern times, most family is very, especially focused on our children. We feel very worried about their future. The whole economic environment is slowed down, I think so, especially in mainland. So I want to ask a question about, especially a whole family, especially such as mom, this factor, how can they operate my family more to our children? Education, your mom, the key factor, I think so. Okay.
Well, when we talk about education, part of the education is formal education, right? And this is very, very important. But also informal education is very, very important itself. One of the things I'm now trying to promote is to have people of the next generation, what we call next gen, do summer internship in other people's family business, or let's say they're interested in financial things, work for a private equity firm, and so forth and so on. So, there's formal education, there's also informal education. The other thing that's very, very interesting is that I'm promoting HKUST, excuse me, we have these various short executive programs, and we invite people to come in and talk about it, but the participants, I tell them, they only learn about half from the lecturers. The other half, they learn from other families that are attending, because you can compare your situation with others. It's not always formal education. It's the informal relationship education. And this is very, very important. When you attend some of these classes, you talk to other families, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? And you learn from each other, which is, to me, is much more important, just the formal education portion itself. Yeah. Not sure I answered all your questions. Yeah.
Hi, Professor. My name is Future. So I have a question. So there are so many famous Chinese family business company in China. So like the Country Garden, 碧桂园. But this company recent years they are facing the very difficulty on the financing. Based on last year's financing report in the year 2024, they still have the big loss around 6.8 billion. So I just want to know if this company still have the chance to recover back into the normal due to current China situation. The housing price is decreasing and the housing demand is decreasing. So that's my question.
Okay, yeah. I think, all businesses go up and down in cycles, okay? But the thing is that, you have to, the issue with family businesses, you have to be willing to bring in talent to assist you. You cannot have all the talent within your family itself, especially if you're running a large company. Now, certain industries, as I mentioned, my father-in-law was in shipping. Shipping business is capital intensive and very, very cyclical, okay? And you have to, willing to have outsiders to help you. So for families, we're all going to go through ups and downs. There's no way around it, okay? I mean, even if you run McDonald's hamburgers, there's ups and downs and everything else. So recognize that there are ups and downs, and the question is, how do you handle these ups and downs? And if you just rely on family members only, you may not have the skills. That's the problem. That's why we now move to a stage where we have to open up to allow outsiders to come in to assist us, help us, not just assist us, help us. And also we need to give them some authority. I was mentioning Sasa. Oh, I had a very fancy title. I was called CEO of the company itself, president and CEO. But, I couldn't even go into the warehouse. They didn't give me the key to the warehouse, right? So you've got to if you do hire outsiders to come in, you have to have an open mind. Otherwise, you can't. In this world today, you cannot be expert in everything. And we're changing so rapidly, right? With AI and so forth, things are changing so rapidly. There's no way one family can learn all those skills. This is why we talk about the concept of from family business to business family. So if you move into the business family environment, everything you look at it very, very differently. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure I can help that particular family itself, but the real estate industry in China today is going through a very, very down cycle, and that's the way it is. And they have to learn how to survive. This is very important.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your insightful sharing. And I want to ask the question about delegation of the power and also power transition. So you mentioned before about these matriarchs or patriarchs. Maybe like because of your experience, first of all, how these people gain their position, and the second, how they transfer, because probably this is one of the most difficult process in all these family transformations.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned to you before, the succession, what we call succession planning itself. You know, the older generation, the succession is always within the family itself. You don't pass it on to outsiders. So now I honestly believe that what we need to do is that think about the concept of being owner rather than owner and manager. Then you bring in outside managers, and you also get to a point where you, like I mentioned to you on the Pacific Coffee, he was willing to sell the business later on. Initially, he wasn't willing to sell the business, but later on. So I think today we have to have a very, very open mind. You know, succession planning to me is not on the business itself. It's really succession of the family, who becomes the next matriarch, patriarch of the family itself. And that is more or less a natural process. Traditionally, for Asian families, it tends to be the oldest family member itself, you know. But again, in the future, I think this may not be. So we really have to have a very, very open mind. Now, business-wise, honestly, you just cannot hold on forever. You got to let go. So succession planning, when we talk about succession planning, we're not talking about succession planning only about the business. We're talking about succession planning as matriarch, patriarch of the family itself. That's the key itself.
But can one generation can be skipped? So I mean, on meritocracy principles or something like that, not in terms of the age or gender or something like that, but one or two generation younger, for example.
Well, this is for me, okay, and for our family, what we have decided to do is to actually distribute a good portion of the wealth to individuals, okay, very, very early, allow them to continue. But a portion of the wealth is kept together as part of the family, because that's still, you have a lot of things you want to do together, getting recognition, this and that, and so forth. I remember the first time I met my father-in-law to be, okay, and he said, "Oh, I know your family." You know, for Asian, this is very, very important itself. So the idea is that, you know, continuity is not necessarily business continuity. It's more family continuity. That's the thing. How do you maintain it? This is why those books are very important. This is why the books are important to future generations. Let them know their background. I suggest, and I recommend to everyone in this room, if you're at that stage, do write a book. You don't, yeah, get somebody to help you, okay? You can get your siblings together and you just dictate some of these things and get a professional writer to put it all together. You know, if you ever look at my book, there's lots of photographs in there. Photographs are, today's world, photographs very, very important, right? And so I also now put it into soft copy so I can distribute it very, very easily to whoever's really interested in this kind of thing. And so that's the maintenance of the family legacy. That's the thing. So we're talking about succession is succession in terms of family succession rather than business or wealth succession. I'm not sure I answer all your questions. Yeah.
Okay, due to the class scheduling, I know you guys have a lot of questions and interest in this one. So maybe the last one question, if anyone would still have one. Okay, please.
Professor, I have a poem said, 家贫走他乡，竹望流原籍。母弱出山谷，富强做侍郎。请问您怎么理解这句话？然后它对现在还适不适用
Sorry, I need to translate that.
Sorry. Means when the family is poor, one travels far from hometown. When the family seeks prestige, someone stays in the original place of residence. When the mother is weak, one engages in business. When the father is powerful, one pursues an officer career. Does it suit Prof for now? Yeah.
I'm not sure maybe you can help. You're saying the father and the mother, one is running the business, the mother is...
It's a Chinese ancient poem. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I apologize for that, yeah. Can I ask?
Well, sorry, we'll have to be the last one. And,
Okay,
and
okay.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I want to talk about the trend because I personally have some thought about the family size because nowadays some families are getting smaller and smaller. Like usually the family structure is like three people. So thinking about this trend and the family may even get smaller with the advancement of the AI technology, even the robots, because we probably keep accompanied by the robots in the future. Families getting even smaller. It's been one person, two person in the family. And for example, like the Zhang Yiming, she's like the founder of the Big Dance, which is the mother company of TikTok. He's the richest person in China, and he only has 3 persons in the family. And many other billionaires in China, they have the same kind of a family structure. So does the individuals really need a family office like this kind of size, you know? Wouldn't they manage their own money? You know, that would be enough. Do they need to set up a family office like that to make things complicated? Thank you.
Okay, well, again, shortness of time, I'll try to answer very quickly. You remember I mentioned the concept of 3 Ps. The question is whether 3 Ps is important or not. 3 Ps doesn't deal with the number of family members itself. Do you value, preservation of the wealth as well as social wealth, harmony? If you only have 1 child, maybe there's no need for harmony, but still there's an issue because you're talking about fewer children these days, but look at the average marriage. A lot of them are, divorces, this and that and so forth, all kinds of issues itself. So is family harmony important? And again, do you value your family value system itself and, the preservation of your family history? Do you value that? If you don't value that, it doesn't matter. Just give all your money away. It doesn't matter, right? Who cares? But if you value those things, and this is one way to do it, okay? Whether you formally have a family office or not, it doesn't really matter, okay? Formalizing is good, especially if you have a very, very large family itself. But if it's not large, you don't have to have a very formalized thing. And I'm a firm believer in splitting the assets up, financial assets up very, very early, but keep some that are part of the entire family itself. That's the glue that keeps the family together.
All right, thank you, Professor King, and thank you all for your thoughtful questions. And our lecture is about to the end, but before we conclude, we would like to invite all of you to have a group photo. That would be great. Professor King, please be seated on the other side, and please, everyone, look into our camera. All right, thank you all, you guys. Thank you for your participation.